interview with Mr. Amit Mittal, the chairman of A2Z Industries. Welcome to Jamaica, sir.
Thank you so much.
And thank you very much for agreeing to this interview. And thanks Mr. Lee-Chin too. He says he will deliver you. So he has honored his word. Now, you're engaged in a very fascinating project. But first of all, tell me about A2Z Industries.
The A2Z is a group of companies wherein we started in 2002 as a facilities management company, and our USP was to reduce the utility bills for our clients. We maintain airports, we maintain railways, we maintain commercial buildings, and in those buildings the main outgo for a client is the utility bills, and that is where we do the value addition. We improve the power factor, we put LED lights, we do ESCO projects, we do right preventive maintenance, and we add value for the client. That was the first business which we started with in 2002. As we moved along, we moved into the power sector, which is the transmission and distribution space. We construct transmission lines up to 765 kV, which is the highest voltage in the world. And then we construct 400 kV lines, we construct substations, 400 kV, 200 kV, 220 kV. And we also are engaged in the last mile distribution of the power. India having huge AT&C losses to the extent of 40%. Wherever we have worked, we have reduced losses below 10%. And for that, what we have done is that we have reduces the theft of electricity by applying the technologies. And one of the technology is that we have put aerial bunched cable. Aerial bunched cable is a cable wherein on the outer periphery there is a phase, and on the center there is a neutral. So nobody can steal the electricity because you need neutral to steal the electricity. Second thing we have done is we have developed smart meters, and smart meter is a meter which works on a GPRS mode, collect all the parameters of the meter online, and can give the right of the utility to connect and disconnect. Mobile, and this is on the theory of mobile, so success of mobile. Why mobile succeeded? Because the operator has the right to connect and disconnect, or if the user do not pay. But in the case of electricity, the user can tamper with the meter in India, of course, and can do
as in Jamaica too.
As in Jamaica too, yeah. Can tamper with the meter and steal the electricity, and as a utility I would never come to know. So you can online connect and disconnect those meters. The basic thing why distribution field has become so important, it can only be leveraged if the IT is on the back of the distribution segment. So what we are doing is smart metering, what we are doing is smart grid, and this can be only done through application of IT sector in the distribution segment. That is our USP.
I want to talk to you about your Jamaican visit. A couple of months ago, a certain Jamaican entrepreneur called me, and he was quite excited about the prospect of generating energy from waste.
Yeah.
And that is primarily what I'd like to talk to you about it. First of all, your alliance with Michael Lee-Chin, and secondly, the prospects of setting up a plant here that converts waste into electricity.
So,
because
yeah.
I'm sure Mike would have briefed you already about this, but energy costs is a hot button issue in Jamaica at this time. So it's perhaps an opportune time for us to be doing this.
Yeah.
Tell us about that alliance, how it came about, and then I'll ask you the question about the what you plan to do here.
So it was November of last year. I was on roadshow for my public issue for my company, and we were raising around $150 million. And there was a conference organized by one of the merchant banker in Mumbai, in India, and I was also invited, and Mittal and Lee-Chin was also invited as an investor to meet prospective investing companies. So it was in a 5-star hotel, and room was assigned to each company, and prospective investors were coming and talking to me. And in that morning I flew from Delhi to Mumbai, and I got up at 3 o'clock, and I thought, oh, it's too much of a pain going at 4 o'clock in the morning, let me not go. Then I thought, no, I have made a promise, I have got to go. And I took the flight. I was fortunate I did not decided not to go, because if I would have not gone, I would have not met Mittal and Lee-Chin. And he came in the afternoon session into my room, and I told him the entire story of the company, and he said, I want $100 million. During IPO, he could make investment which was maximum allowed as per the laws, and that is where the relationship started.
Now, what do you hope to accomplish in Jamaica? Do you see Jamaica as a good prospect for what you're doing, particularly the waste to energy component? Yeah. Because I know you have a highly diversified company. Yes.
Mm-hmm. See, I do not want to call this as a waste to energy project. I want to call this is an integrated resource recovery facility or project. And the reason for that is, in developed markets, this waste to energy is happening for a long time, and people get confused that what you are doing is it similar or is it different. What is happening in developed markets is they just bring the waste and put into a boiler. All type of waste is put into the boiler, and the cost of that facility is very, very high, because you don't segregate the waste, and the capital cost makes the project unviable. And that is why even in the United States at this point of time, hardly 10% of the municipal solid waste management is happening in terms of generation of power. The uniqueness of our project is that we recycle the waste into all the derivatives which are required by the society, which are required by the country, which are required by the people at large. And this can only happen if there is a segregation of waste.
Yeah, describe that segregation. What does it mean?
Yeah, so
do you make fertilizers? Describe that.
So now there is a cost of segregation at source, but we in developing countries, we don't have that mindset and tenacity to reduce the waste at source, because there is a cost to it. We have the habit of mixing or putting the waste everything into one thing and then let it go. So the solution which we have designed is for the indigenous waste or the countries which are not segregating at the source. And the waste, when it comes to our facility, is segregated by a process, and the process is first the waste is put onto a conveyor belts. From conveyor belts it goes to a trommel. A trommel means that there is a circular hollow cylinder which is moving in circular fashion as well as moving vertically in an inclined position, and it has got sieves of various size, and this sieves segregates the waste according to the size of the waste. So I have first process of 75 mm. So I remove what is less than 75 and what is more than 75 mm. The second process is 40 mm. Then I remove what is less than 40 mm, what is more than 40 mm. And in the process I keep on segregating the waste, and whatever is the organic waste is remaining in the waste is put into windrows, which we call, wherein we put cultured bacteria into it to increase the pace of aerobic digestion, because this is aerobic, the oxygen is being taken and the digestion is taking place. Now there are no methane emissions. Methane emissions happens only when anaerobic, when there is no oxygen.
So it's
environmental friendly.
Yeah.
So now this bacteria increases the pace of digestion, and in 28 days it eats up all the organic matter, and what it excretes is a very good compost. Now at the last mile, we have a process wherein we remove a magnetic stream, remove all the steel and iron, and then we have a very high speed of air which removes a small particle of glass, paper, everything, and what you get is a very, very fine quality of compost. And this compost is required all across the globe, because the excessive use of chemical fertilizer has reduced the hygroscopic nature of soil. The water retention capacity is not there. Whatever you put into the soil, 50% goes down away, and you are importing most of the chemical fertilizers. Now once you put it, it gives the free carbon to the soil, and the free carbon and the bacteria which we add, it attaches the NPK with them and slowly release in the soil. So over a period of time, your consumption of fertilizer goes down. Now the time have come when people have started using only organic foods, which is organic farming. So there they don't use chemical fertilizer, they only use organic manure.
So fertilizer is a direct byproduct of this process.
Yes.
Let's look at the energy side now.
Yes.
How is that done?
As I explained to you, that segregation takes place. Now the inorganic matter, which is having carbon, which is paper, LDPE, the cloths and everything, is converted through an extrusion process into a small briquette. And this briquette, if you see, it looks like a coal, and we call it as a green coal. And this is having a calorific value of more than 4,400. So now we put that green coal, we put the agriculture waste, which is bagasse, which is any kind of waste, as I told you, paddy straw. Then we have energy crops like subabul. We put 15% coal, and everything is put into boiler. So now we generate a renewable energy. And the beauty of this renewable energy is that the plant load factor of this is almost 90%. If you see other renewable energy, which is wind and solar, they give power only 20% of the time in the entire their life cycle, because the wind you will get only 20%, solar you will get only 20%. Here you have a continuous production of power, which is 90% of the time of the entire year. And you, for instance, 1,000 tons per day, if you process the waste, you can generate 10 megawatts of power. Now, we have got project in Dubai and Riyadh as well. They are oil-rich countries. They have also understood the importance of renewable energy. They have also, given the projects to us. And the basic hypothesis or theme is, renewable energy is the focus. Let us, keep our natural resources reserved for the times to come.
As I said earlier in the interview, the cost of energy in Jamaica, which is derived 99.99% from oil, it is a hot issue in this at this time. Do you see Jamaica as a good prospect for you to replicate what you have done in India and Dubai?
Of course, this can be very much replicated here. We can process the waste, we can make compost, we can make very beautiful construction tiles, pavement tiles from the construction debris. We can generate power, and then this power is purchased by the utility at a better tariff, because in India, I don't know what is the situation here, because this is a renewable energy. So government give incentive for these projects. So they buy at a premium over the normal power which is produced by the coal. Coming back to the power situation in Jamaica, as I understand, the tariffs are very high. All over the world, what we are seeing is the tariffs are between 12 to 15, maximum 17-18 cents all over the world. I don't know what are the tariffs here, but that is the situation. In India, we have a tariff of around 15 cents, 12 to 15 cents.
So based on your due diligence, which I know as a shrewd businessman you would have already done, when would you say you would start up a project in Jamaica?
If you give me the contract, in 12 months we will recycle the waste, and 18 months we will produce the power.
Have you had any preliminary talks with any government officials about this project?
Yes, we had. We have presented our case. The video of one of our plant is already there in the YouTube. We have given the brochures. Now we have been asked to make a formal proposal, which we will do it in next 3-4 days, and then we'll keep our fingers crossed. Hopefully we'll get a chance to work in Jamaica.
What sort of investment in monetary terms do you hope to put in to your Jamaican operation?
See, it depends, on the quantum of opportunity which we have talked to various officials is offered to us. It may be $50 million, it may be $100 million, and it depends on the quantum of the project which is given to us.
Would you be seeking local equity to get this thing rolling?
Yes, of course. We have decided that in various geographies where we operate, there would be a local partner in all the geographies, because waste management project requires lot of ownership, lot of commitment. So we have to have local partner, because that will give the ownership to the local people, local partnership. We will bring the technology, we will bring the capital, we will bring the know-how, and eventually we will transfer that to the local partner.
You'll invite local equity partners.
Yes.
But you wouldn't describe Mr. Lee-Chin as a local equity partner, would you? He is a partner in this venture.
Yes, of course he would be the partner in this venture. But over and above Mr. Michael Lee-Chin, we would be looking for a local partner.
Assuming you get some regulatory approval within the next 3 to 4 days, how soon would a project like this be a reality? Assuming you get some approval.
Within 6 months. Within six months you will see that we have started, at least started making compost, at least, and making green coal, because setting up a power plant requires some time. So I would say at least 6 months.
I know it's preliminary days yet, and your talks would have been preliminary, but how do you feel about those talks? Are you optimistic that they'll bear fruits?
I'm very, very optimistic. Very, very optimistic. Whomsoever we have met in with the honorable ministers, they have appreciated it, they have liked it, and they have looked for formal proposal from our side, because the value which we are bringing to the table is that everybody whosoever would have come would have asked for a tipping fee from the government side. What we are saying is that we don't need any fee from the government side. We will create the value by processing the waste. We don't need any funding from the government.
But what sort of concessions as an investor though would you anticipate from the government?
The only thing is we need to have the right on the waste for the next 30 years. Okay. That's all.
Yeah, it's your intellectual property, so to speak. Yeah? Mr. Mittal, my research shows that, well, certainly 2008 figures show that Jamaicans consume 18.6 million kilowatt hours of electricity per day. Your project, what percentage of that could it satisfy in a best case scenario?
See, our project is not distribution of power. Our project is generation of power. So, even though we will produce the power, since we do not have rights of distributing the power, we have to sell it to the utility. Now, how efficient that utility is to sell the power at the lowest rate, it depends on them. It depends, how much are the losses into the system, at what price the power is being purchased from the producer or generator, and then how efficiently it is being distributed. In India and the global markets, it is priced around 15 to 20 cents for the consumer, for the end consumer. So, but it helps the vision of Jamaica to produce renewable energy. That would be the starting point of production of renewable energy. And hopefully, as US and all the developing and developed markets have decided that by 2020, they will have 20% of their energy as a renewable energy, which is, I think, would be the stepping stone for Jamaica as well.
It's very seldom. I'm usually very dispassionate about my interviews, but I'm as excited as you are about the prospects for something like this becoming reality. And I really do look forward to possibly doing a follow-up interview when things begin to take shape. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
It's my honor.
Thank you so much.
Good.
Thank you.
You have delivered Mr. Mittal, and I was fascinated by the interview. So I didn't interrupt, or very seldom did I interrupt. It wasn't because I didn't have questions, but it was so fascinating. I like to hear him talk. The audience would like to hear more of him than me. I'm not an interesting person. Well, what's your involvement in this project with A2Z Industries?
Well, as Mr. Mittal mentioned, we became investors in A2Z back in November of 2010. And what we saw was an opportunity. You see, hither to now, developing countries looked to developed countries for solutions to our problems, to developing countries' problems. But that may not be the most optimal way to do it. Because conditions are not necessarily the same or similar. Whereby I think it would make more sense if developing countries looked to other developing countries for solutions that they have had issues with, they have had solutions to, and we import those solutions, right? And invariably, especially in the case of India, whereby the per capita income is so low, when you design a solution, it has to be designed so inexpensively so the end user consumer can afford it. So invariably, developing countries' solutions are less expensive than developed countries' solutions. So I thought, given that, plus given the fact that A2Z is basically an engineering and software company, and they are in the power optimization business from their history and background as facilities managers to their domain experience at building transmission lines, distribution lines, and now into the solid waste management, the processing of solid waste management into derivatives like fertilizer, compost fertilizer, organic fertilizer, like briquettes that are used to fuel furnaces to produce electricity, like construction material, and at the end of their processing, zero waste goes into the landfill. Now, every single country has a problem with solid waste. Every single country. In fact, we just came from a trip which took us to Mexico, Colombia, Trinidad and Tobago, Dominican Republic, and now Jamaica. And Mexico City, as an example, has the mandate whereby by 2012 there should be no waste going into the landfill. But they have the mandate, but they don't have the solution. A2Z has the solution. They're doing it in India. They've been doing it now for 2 years, and over the last 2 years, not 1 gram of waste has gone into the landfill.
No. Is that you've spoken about the potential for Jamaica?
Yes.
But now you allude to Mexico.
Yes.
As an entrepreneur, you've betted what, $100 million, right?
In Jamaica.
$100 million on this project.
In Jamaica.
Yeah, in Jamaica.
Only.
In Jamaica.
Yes.
So you're fairly optimistic. I mean, Warren Buffett is someone you follow. You follow his basic tenets.
Yes.
You wouldn't be throwing away money knowingly.
So, sir, Mr. James, one thing is for certain is that tomorrow we'll have garbage, right? The mechanism by which we are disposing of the garbage today is very primitive, because what we are doing is contaminating Mother Earth, contaminating our water, right? And that has to stop. So, so now we have found a way in which, as I said, is a solution to that problem. So, if you're thinking about making an investment in any project, the first thing you have to do is make sure you don't lose your principle. That's the first thing. As I said in the FSC meeting this morning, law number 1, don't lose your principle. Law number 2, don't forget rule number 1. Okay? So we are very confident that we will do a few things. Build a business that is long-term sustainable. Build a business that is doing good for society. And we are very passionate about delivering it at a price that is long-term sustainable for all the stakeholders, including the customers.
Now, how optimistic? You would have been involved in some of these preliminary talks with high-level Jamaican government officials. Even at this preliminary stage, what's your level of optimism about those talks? I
think everybody's frustrated that there is a burgeoning problem. They have no solution, and I think by virtue of the domain experience that Mr. at A2Z has, that has engendered confidence in the parties that we're speaking to. And that confidence is now being translated into energy and action. And you backed it. You believe in it fully. Well, because you don't want to lose. You will not lose your principle. Mr. James, we have a history in Jamaica, because when Columbus Communication came to Jamaica, its presence brought competition, and we also brought the cost of telecommunication down by 87%, which enabled call centers now to grow from Jamaica. That's Columbus Communication. We have a history of when we became associated with the National Commercial Bank in 2002. It was an organization that was floundering. We all know that. Today, that's a euphemism. Today, it's an organization that is the largest commercial financial institution in Jamaica, and we are so proud that, as per the Banker magazine in August, it was rated the #1 bank in Central South America, Caribbean, when it comes to return on capital. And by that measure, in terms of the global peers, it was #3 in the world, hailing from Jamaica. So we are proud that of our record of bringing value, lifting standards to the by virtue of through our investments here. A2Z will be no different. In fact, A2Z will be even more value added, because it's a huge problem that we have here in Jamaica, and it's not only Jamaica; it's globally. You anticipate that A2Z's presence here will bring competition in the market, the kind of competition to which you alluded in the telecom sector will bring competition, and hence
with competition, we may see more competitive prices for consumers?
Well, let's go back to what A2Z is bringing. A2Z is bringing a solution. The solution is to transform waste into products. The relationship between A2Z and the municipalities is one whereby there is a long-term contract signed, because it's not feasible if the contract is not a long-term contract. So in cities, you don't really have, if you have many 10 entities that are doing the same thing. So we have to, as Mr. Mittal mentioned, there's no cost to the government, because A2Z Portland Partnership is not asking for tipping fees. We're asking for nothing. We're just asking to give us the garbage and we will take care of it.
Yeah, and clear the regulatory hurdles, if any.
Well, yes. You know what is interesting here is that Kingston has approximately nearly 2,000 tons of garbage per day. 2,000 tons of garbage per day in Kingston. That garbage will be converted into 400 tons of fertilizer, organic compost fertilizer. 400 tons of fertilizer. Think about the foreign in other words, this will be a locally derived product. So we don't have to spend foreign exchange importing it. So that will preserve again our foreign exchange and keep our dollar strong. Right? That's just one. And that's 200,000 tons, 200 tons per day from the garbage.
Well, thanks, sir.
You're welcome, Mr. James.
Thank you for delivering.
You're welcome, sir.
Yeah.